Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
The moment I stepped through the front door, I was struck by the eerie silence. The house felt like a museum, lifeless and still, with only the glow of the flat-screen TV breaking through the darkness of the living room. I'm William, 50 years old, and despite being married to Jennifer for over 2 decades, meaningful conversation between us has become as rare as snow in summer. Tonight, like most nights, dinner sits untouched on the table. We don't even bother to eat together anymore. Just a cold plate of leftovers waiting in solitude. "I'm gonna grab something to eat," I announced to the empty air. No response. Jennifer remains glued to the couch, her face blank as she mindlessly watches reality TV, her eyes only moving to follow the latest celebrity gossip flashing across the screen. "Food's in the kitchen," she mutters without looking away from the TV. My heart sinks as I wonder how many more meals we'll spend apart like this. Was it always going to end up this way? Back in the day, dinner used to be our time to share laughs and stories, and weekends were filled with spontaneous adventures to wherever caught our fancy. Now, we're like two strangers sharing an address. The final nail in the coffin? Jennifer's been deliberately scheduling her second job during my days off. It's crystal clear she's avoiding any chance of us spending time together. I've lost the will to even try anymore, and she's equally silent. I'm beat. I mumble to myself, knowing full well I won't get a response. Just the endless drone of entertainment news filling the void. What's the point of keeping up this charade? Am I holding on because of appearances? Or am I just coasting on autopilot, too set in my ways to make a change? These thoughts gnaw at me like a persistent itch I can't scratch. Watching Jennifer's profile from the corner of my eye, memories flood back. "What do you want to do today?" she used to ask with excitement. Those first few years were magic, cooking side by side, catching the latest blockbusters together. "Got work stuff to handle" became her go-to excuse, and I just let it slide, too tired to push back. Maybe she had her own grievances with our marriage. But now, I don't have the emotional energy to even scratch that surface. Then it happened. One weekend while Jennifer was at her second job, I was scrolling through news on my tablet when the doorbell rang. Expecting the delivery guy, I checked the monitor only to find an unfamiliar young woman. She had this polished look about her, brown hair neatly tied to the side, composed but clearly nervous. I'd never seen her before. "Yes?" I called through the intercom. She gave a slight nod and introduced herself. "Hi, I'm Ashley. I need to talk to you about Jennifer." The mention of my wife's name instantly put me on edge. If she was a colleague or friend, why not just call Jennifer directly? Showing up when I'm home meant this was something serious. Despite my better judgment about letting strangers in, I invited her to the living room. This clearly wasn't a doorstep conversation. "I'm William, Jennifer's husband. How do you know her?" Ashley sat across from me, head slightly bowed, choosing her words with careful precision despite her soft voice. "I'm dating someone. Jennifer works with my boyfriend at their workplace." A workplace connection made sense. But why come to me? Then Ashley looked up, her face set with determination as she dropped the bomb. "Jennifer and Steven, my boyfriend, are having an affair." For a split second, the world stopped spinning. It felt surreal, like something out of a soap opera, but one look at Ashley's dead serious expression told me this wasn't some cruel joke or misunderstanding. "I can prove it," she said, pulling out her phone and showing me the smoking gun, messages between them and photos of their secret meetings. The photos left no room for doubt. There they were, Jennifer and Steven, standing intimately close together, deep in conversation. My mind refused to process it at first. The reality of my wife's betrayal hit me like a ton of bricks, leaving me struggling to breathe. Despite the growing distance between us over the years, seeing concrete proof of her infidelity brought a crushing wave of humiliation and heartache I never could have prepared for. Ashley's voice was barely above a whisper as she hung her head. I was in denial at first too. But then Steven started getting distant, making up excuses about why he couldn't see me on weekends. That's when I discovered Jennifer was in the picture. I furrowed my brow, puzzled. Hold up. Isn't this tearing you apart too? Your boyfriend cheating with my wife? Why come to me instead of confronting Jennifer directly? Ashley looked up at me with eyes full of pain and vulnerability. Because I can't bear to lose Steven, she confessed, tears welling up. Yes, I'm hurt and angry, but God help me, I still love him. It was hard to wrap my head around. How could she want to stay after such a clear betrayal? But watching her trembling lips and the raw emotion in her eyes, I could see her feelings were genuine. Ashley dabbed at her eyes with a tissue and continued carefully. The thing is, I'm really inexperienced with men. I think Steven got frustrated with that. Maybe my hesitation pushed him into Jennifer's arms. That's complete BS, I said, anger flaring. Real love means being patient and working through fears together. You deserve better than that. I couldn't stomach any justification for cheating. Yet at the same time, a nagging voice wondered if I'd failed Jennifer somehow. If I'd let our connection slowly slip through my fingers over the years. Lost in these thoughts, I almost missed Ashley's next words. I have something to ask you. She sat there looking tormented, head bowed, clearly wrestling with some major decision. When she finally looked up, there was a steely determination in her eyes. I want to learn to be more comfortable around men, to have what it takes to keep Steven. Would you help me become more confident? What I mean is, she clarified, I need help working through my trust issues with relationships. Then maybe I can be what Steven needs. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Was she suggesting what I thought she was? That would be straight up cheating. Plus, two wrongs don't make a right. A revenge relationship seemed beyond twisted. But seeing the desperate hope in her eyes, I couldn't just shut her down cold. I frowned, choosing my words carefully. Hold on, wouldn't that make us just as bad as them? Ashley kept her gaze fixed on the floor as she replied, her voice shaking. I know that, but my feelings are such a mess. I can't let it end this way. My heart cracked seeing the tears spill down her cheeks. Here was someone else wounded by infidelity, turning to me to try to reclaim something. Truth be told, I was drowning in my own emotional turmoil after discovering my wife's betrayal. But was revenge really the answer? All right, I'll at least hear you out, I said finally, deciding to reserve judgment until I knew her full proposal. Ashley's relief was palpable. Looking at her then, I felt an unexpected kinship forming between us, two people united by shared pain. A few days later, she showed up at my place again. Jennifer was out, probably at her part-time job, or wherever she really went these days, and I had nothing planned for my day off. So what exactly did you have in mind? I asked as we settled onto the couch. Ashley fidgeted nervously before responding. I'd like to start by just spending time together, working on getting more comfortable around men. Not diving into anything physical, just gradually breaking down those walls. She seemed to have thought this through. The idea of jumping straight into intimacy made us both uneasy. She wanted to take it slow, letting our emotional guards down naturally. We could meet up when Jennifer and Steven are together. If we track their meetups, they'll never know about us. But was that really okay, even if we called it a revenge affair? Using their betrayal to justify our own. Even as the words left my mouth, it scared me how I was starting to rationalize the whole thing. The strained marriage, my simmering anger towards Jennifer, and this gnawing emptiness inside. It all made Ashley's proposition strangely tempting. While I couldn't justify having an affair, I felt like I was reaching my breaking point. When Ashley's shoulders slumped in resignation, I found myself saying, okay. Truth is, I had my own mountain of frustrations with Jennifer, resentments I'd never voiced to anyone. Maybe spending time with Ashley could help take the edge off this pain. It wasn't exactly wife swapping, I wasn't sure what to call it, but meeting Ashley in secret gave me a twisted sense of getting even with Jennifer and Steven. The moment I agreed, though, my conscience kicked in hard. Fighting betrayal with betrayal, wasn't that just sinking to their level? Morally speaking, how would I be any different from Steven? But I couldn't deny the spark of excitement, this new surge of energy I felt. It was like coming alive again after being numb for so long. We planned our first meeting carefully, choosing a day when Jennifer said she'd be away overnight on a trip with a friend. In reality, she was probably with Steven. Despite my misgivings, I agreed to have dinner with Ashley. Where should we go? Maybe somewhere on the outskirts where we won't run into anyone. Yeah, crowded places are too risky. After some thought, I made a reservation at this Italian place about half an hour's drive away. It was perfect, dim lighting, intimate booths where we wouldn't be easily spotted. As we settled into our seats, Ashley browsed the menu with an endearing shyness. See anything you like? I asked softly. Ashley flipped through the pages hesitantly. Well, I don't really eat out much, so everything looks amazing. What would you recommend? I thought for a moment before responding cheerfully. I've only been here once, but their pasta is fantastic. It was such a simple exchange, but it warmed my heart. It hit me then how long it had been since I'd had such gentle, casual conversations with Jennifer. The fact that even discussing menu options felt novel was kind of pathetic, but I couldn't help feeling lighter. When our food arrived, Ashley unfolded her napkin with graceful precision and began eating with polite table manners, especially given her initial timidity. How is it? I asked, watching her reaction. It's delicious, Ashley replied with a smile. And this restaurant's peaceful atmosphere really helps me relax. Though her voice carried relief, I could still see shadows of pain lurking in her eyes. The desperate edge was gone, but something deeper and more wounded had taken its place. Still struggling with the Steven situation? I asked gently. Ashley set down her fork and gave me a heartbreaking smile. To be honest, yes, her voice quivered. If only I'd been more attractive, if I'd understood his needs better, maybe none of this would have happened. My chest tightened watching tears well up in her eyes. How could anyone hurt someone so genuine? I felt my anger towards Steven surge. Don't blame yourself. Relationship issues should be worked out through honest communication. Cheating is never the answer. Ashley fidgeted with her napkin, speaking barely above a whisper. I know, but I can't stop finding fault with myself. That's why I want to change this time. If I can better understand men and get past my fears, maybe things could be different. Her voice trembled as she finished speaking. The gentle vulnerability in her voice awakened something in me that had long been dormant. Ashley opened up about her complicated history with men. Growing up with an extremely controlling father, she wasn't just banned from dating. She could barely leave the house. This created a deep-seated fear of men that she never quite shook. Steven was her first real relationship, and while she genuinely wanted to make him happy, she struggled with physical intimacy and couldn't properly express these fears to him. She never imagined he'd end up having an affair, let alone with a married woman. The more she shared, the more my blood boiled with rage. She must have endured constant criticism for not being proactive enough. I could empathize with Ashley's desperate desire for change. As time went on, Ashley and I fell into a routine of meeting whenever we noticed Jennifer and Steven's affair schedules. With a gentle smile, Ashley confided, I'm making progress. A newfound confidence radiated from her expression. After a moment's hesitation, she ventured, William, are you free next holiday? Should be, I replied with a wry smile. Jennifer will be working late again. The bitterness crept into my voice. Probably meeting Steven. Ashley paused thoughtfully before continuing, gathering her courage. In that case, if you're open to it, her voice quivered slightly. Would you like to go on a weekend getaway? I'd love to spend more time with you. At first, I thought she was joking, but her eyes held an earnest intensity I'd never seen before. She maintained steady eye contact instead of her usual shy glances away. My heart began racing. The overnight trip seemed to be her way of taking things to the next level, becoming more comfortable with intimacy. Despite my initial hesitation, I found myself nodding in agreement. When the day arrived, we checked into a beautiful seaside resort, a place I'd once stayed at for business and had fallen in love with for its tranquil atmosphere. Our room exceeded expectations, complete with its own private hot spring. "This is incredible," I breathed. "It's absolutely perfect. Let's make the most of it." We had dinner in a private room I'd reserved, away from prying eyes. The chef showcased local ingredients in course after course. As we savored dishes that perfectly balanced flavors from land and sea, conversation flowed naturally. Ashley twirled her wine glass delicately, a contented smile playing on her lips. I can't remember the last time I enjoyed such a leisurely dinner. Seeing her so at ease warmed my heart. "Would you like some more wine?" I offered carefully. "Yes, please," she replied, a slight blush coloring her cheeks. "Since we're staying here and don't have to drive, we might as well indulge a little." As I sipped my wine, I felt its warmth spreading through me. Ashley took small sips too, her cheeks growing increasingly flushed. "I think the wine's getting to me, but it's wonderful." Her shy smile and rosy complexion were enchanting. "Take it easy," I cautioned, though I couldn't help but smile at her endearing innocence. It had been so long since I'd felt this comfortable sharing drinks and conversation with someone. I never imagined I'd experience this kind of connection with another woman. Despite the guilt lingering in the back of my mind, I found myself treasuring these moments of genuine connection. Back in our room, we chatted under soft lighting about everything and nothing: work stories, hobbies, favorite foods, pet peeves. It struck me that I hadn't had conversations like this with Jennifer in years. "The wine and heat are making me warm," Ashley murmured, adjusting her robe with a demure blush. My heart skipped a beat at her unconscious grace. "Should we try out the hot spring?" I suggested carefully. Ashley's voice trembled slightly as she replied, "Care to join me?" Her cheeks flushed deeper. My pulse quickened. Though it was an innocent enough suggestion, we both felt the weight of its implications. I could see the mix of anticipation and nervousness in her eyes. The private hot spring beckoned. While part of me hesitated about sharing such an intimate space, Ashley met my gaze with quiet determination. I'm ready to get closer. We've come this far." Her words resonated with my own feelings. This had been my choice too. Maybe it was time to stop running. "All right, let's go in." The hot spring extended seamlessly from indoors to the terrace. Soft lighting filtered through the rising steam, creating an ethereal atmosphere as cool night air met warm water. As we entered the pool together, an electric tension filled the space between us. I couldn't help but notice her elegant shoulders and back through the rippling water. "Are you comfortable?" I asked softly, concerned. "Are you cold?" "No, I'm perfect," Ashley replied with a gentle smile, her skin luminous in the soft light. "If anything, it's quite warm." Ahaha. Her shy laugh captivated me as I struggled to steady my racing heart. It had been so long since I'd shared such an intimate moment with someone. Her presence, so close yet still maintaining that delicate distance, left me almost breathless. Just months ago, I never could have imagined being in this situation. Perhaps what I'd really wanted was to recapture this kind of connection with my wife, but I knew now that was impossible. To be honest, I began carefully, measuring my words. I was worried Ashley might react with anger or disappointment. I had a lot of reservations at first. I paused, studying her expression. Ashley listened attentively, her eyes fixed on mine. But I could sense your genuine concern, which made it impossible to say no. "And now with Jennifer." "Yes, that chapter is closed," Ashley replied with a bittersweet smile. In her eyes, I saw a reflection of our shared pain. That night, we shared the same bed. The wine's warmth still lingered, but what I felt more strongly was how the emotional walls between us had crumbled. In the soft glow of the room, I noticed Ashley's delicate shoulders trembling slightly. "Please, be gentle with me," she whispered, her voice quivering. "Don't worry," I murmured soothingly, working to keep my voice steady despite my racing heart. "We'll take things slow." Ashley took a deep breath and surrendered herself to the moment. Though there was an initial awkwardness that comes with new intimacy, everything felt like a natural progression of our connection. The touch of her soft skin, still carrying hints of the hot spring's warmth, nearly overwhelmed my senses. I kept reminding myself that this moment was about both of us, her healing and my own. When Ashley looked up at me with eyes that were both nervous and determined, she whispered, "I'm so grateful I found you." Those words resonated deeply within me. Even in these circumstances, being needed by someone felt incredibly right. That night became a beautiful memory we'd both treasure. Her gentle breathing and tender touches enveloped me completely. Like two wanderers finding an oasis after a long journey through the desert, we connected on a profound level, fully present in each other's company. In that timeless moment, I experienced a happiness I hadn't felt in years. Though Ashley retained her endearing shyness, she responded with genuine passion, and our bond grew stronger. Several weeks after our resort getaway, I arrived home from work one evening to find Jennifer's shoes at the entrance, an unusual sight these days, given how rarely our paths crossed. "Oh, you're home early," I remarked. Stepping into the living room, I stopped dead in my tracks. Not only was Jennifer there, but Stephen and Ashley were present too. "What's going on here?" I asked, my voice rising slightly. Glancing aside, I saw Ashley sitting with her head bowed, while Stephen perched uncomfortably on the sofa's edge. "I apologize for the surprise," Jennifer began solemnly. Despite her typically aloof demeanor, today her expression carried genuine gravity. "First, I need to apologize," Jennifer started, her voice unsteady. Her face showed mixed emotions. "I'm truly sorry for concealing my relationship with Stephen." I couldn't help but respond with a bitter smile. "Now you apologize?" Though sarcasm tinged my words, deep down I recognized this conversation's inevitability. Jennifer nervously played with the edge of the sofa before straightening up with newfound resolve. "I want to build a new life with Stephen. I'm asking for a divorce." Divorce. The word felt heavy as it left my lips. So this was how 20 years of marriage would end. "Yes," Jennifer's voice carried unwavering certainty. "Our marriage has reached its endpoint." I looked over at Ashley beside me. She sat with downcast eyes, fingers pressed anxiously against her knees, her face drained of color. My heart ached seeing her bite her lip. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, barely audible. "I never imagined things would turn out this way." Tears welled in her eyes. Jennifer continued resolutely, "Our marriage is beyond repair. Stephen has shown me what hope feels like again. There's no turning back." "I see," I replied calmly. Rather than feeling betrayed or angry, I felt strangely liberated. This is really the end. Considering my relationship with Ashley, I knew I had no right to judge Jennifer. "I'd like to begin divorce proceedings. We can discuss asset division systematically." I nodded at Jennifer's proposal. "All right, I understand." My response might have seemed detached, but I'd been preparing myself for this outcome. Our relationship had grown cold over the years, beyond fixing. The divorce proceedings progressed surprisingly smoothly, perhaps because any remaining emotional attachment had long since faded. The only loose end was Ashley. Though she admitted to still harboring feelings for Stephen, he had ultimately chosen Jennifer. Looking at Ashley's tear-stained face, I realized we both needed a fresh start. The night my divorce was finalized, I walked to Ashley's apartment with a heavy heart. She stood alone in her dimly lit living room, looking vulnerable and lost. "How are you holding up?" I asked softly, carefully choosing my words. Ashley managed a faint smile. "It's still difficult, but all the crying has helped clear my head somehow." Her eyes were red-rimmed, and the sight tugged at my heartstrings. Yet there was a subtle peace in her voice that hadn't been there before. Perhaps our mutual support had provided some solace during this challenging time. I let out a deep sigh. "Stephen and Jennifer are together now? I'd rather not dwell on it anymore." "Yeah," Ashley whispered, hugging a pillow tightly. "I need to let go of my feelings for Stephen too." Her voice quivered with a mix of resolve and lingering hurt. After a moment's pause, she straightened her shoulders and spoke from her heart. "I want to tell you something. I've developed real feelings for you. Initially, I thought I just wanted to build up courage to reconnect with Stephen, but you've been so accepting and understanding, helping ease my anxieties in ways I never expected. It's meant everything to me." I listened intently, feeling warmth bloom in my chest. While I'd sensed this coming, hearing her speak those words aloud stirred something deep within me. "Now, my heart is with you, not Stephen. If you feel anything similar, I, I'd like to start a life together." Gently, I placed my hand on her shoulder. With my marriage officially over, I felt an unexpected lightness in my spirit. Whether it was guilt or relief, I couldn't quite tell. But if she was speaking her truth, perhaps it was time to embrace mine too. "I feel the same way." At my words, a tear slipped down her cheek as she offered a tender smile. A few days later, while finalizing paperwork at the courthouse, I ran into Jennifer as she prepared to move out. During our brief final conversation, she softly admitted, "I never imagined things would end this way." The joy had drained from our interactions long ago. When exactly had things started falling apart? I'd buried myself in work, stopped truly listening. Jennifer hadn't sought out an affair. She tried expressing her unhappiness countless times, but our growing disconnect had left her vulnerable when Stephen entered the picture. "I'm hurting too, but I know I didn't fight hard enough for us." "I can't blame you. We're both just being honest with ourselves now. I truly am sorry. Let's each find our own path forward." Jennifer left quietly after that exchange. She must have struggled with her own demons throughout this process. After sharing so many years together, I was beginning to understand all the things we'd both missed. Ashley and I decided to move in together, though we agreed to take our time before considering marriage, giving ourselves space to adjust to each other's daily rhythms. Each day together felt like a fresh start. Simple moments like greeting each other after work brought a warmth I'd forgotten could exist. "Long day at the office?" "Yeah, but seeing you makes it better." These small exchanges filled our home with joy. She helped me rediscover aspects of partnership I'd lost sight of years ago. As we settled into our routine, I found the courage to take the next step. Though we didn't need formal validation, I wanted to make our commitment official. "Ashley, let's build a life together. Would you marry me?" I knew that remarrying so soon after ending a 20-year marriage might raise eyebrows. But sometimes you don't realize what you truly need until you've lost everything else. That understanding gave me strength. Ashley looked down shyly, her voice trembling as she asked, "Are you sure I'm enough?" Her words carried both hope and uncertainty. I took her hand in mine, meeting her gaze with absolute conviction. "You're everything I need." Every word came straight from my heart. Since we didn't have children, the transition was simpler, though I worried about what others might think. But I've learned to let go of those concerns. What truly matters is the happiness Ashley and I share. When she took my hand, her palms were sweaty with anticipation, her fingers trembling ever so slightly. We made our marriage official at City Hall, both taking the day off work. Though we kept things simple without a big ceremony, the moment felt sacred in its own way. As we walked out after signing the papers, we were greeted by a perfect blue sky. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" I said, my voice thick with emotion. Ashley nestled against my arm, beaming. Perfect weather for a perfect day. I never realized how magical something as simple as holding hands could feel. While I don't regret my years with Jennifer, we gradually drifted apart and wounded each other. Looking back, I have to acknowledge we both stopped putting in the effort our relationship needed. With Ashley, I want to cherish every moment. I'm determined to nurture this relationship with the care and attention it deserves. Our new home is a perfect blend of old and new, from the couch to the curtains to the dinnerware. Every item chosen together, making the space truly ours. "I'll handle dinner tonight," Ashley offered with a warm smile. "You should take it easy." Though touched by her thoughtfulness, I didn't want her to do it alone. "Let me help, we're partners in this." Her eyes lit up at my words. "Maybe it's time I learned to cook properly," Ashley said with an endearing smile. "Perfect, let's start with the basics. How about peeling some potatoes?" I suggested, already looking forward to our kitchen adventure together. If only I could tell my past self that sharing the simple pleasures of cooking together are life's true treasures. These everyday acts of sharing and laughter hold more joy than I ever realized. Later that evening, as we relaxed in the living room, Ashley spoke up hesitantly. "I need to apologize," she said softly, her head bowed. "About saying I was using you to work through my issues with men. I feel terrible about that now." Regret filled her eyes. I wrapped an arm around her shoulders and offered a gentle smile. We were both hurting then. Jennifer's affair left me angry and lost, with nowhere to direct those feelings. Maybe that's why we found each other when we did. The memory still brought an ache to my chest. Ashley squeezed my hand, meeting my gaze with sincerity. "Meeting you saved me." "Yes, at first I wanted Stephen back, but—" She paused, gathering her thoughts. "Somewhere along the way, you became everything to me." Her voice rang with genuine affection. Every memory is crystal clear. Our weekend at the resort, driving along the coast, that first dinner at Mario's. We took things slow, always respecting each other's boundaries. What we have now grew naturally from that foundation of mutual understanding. There's no point dwelling on what's past. We're starting fresh, and though I know our age gap might raise eyebrows, I believe true love can weather any storm. "Here's to our future together," I said, my voice rich with emotion and love. Ashley's eyes welled up as she gripped my hand, her fingers trembling slightly. "I want to spend my life with you." Her words carried such tenderness and conviction that I felt our love's unique beauty all over again. Holding Ashley close, I reflected on where I was just months ago, dreading returns to an empty house. I never imagined life would grant me this fresh start. Ashley's unexpected appearance that day freed my heart from its cage. Though our path here wasn't straightforward, I found a happiness I never knew existed.